Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Archie's Briefings. I'm your host, Arshel Branch, and today, you guys, we are going to talk about how the Democrats just have this incredible love affair with terrorists. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's just something worth talking about. Now, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that way you never miss an episode. And without further ado, you guys, let's just go ahead and let's talk about this because I just find the behavior of the Democrats to be absolutely outrageous. And let's just go ahead and let's talk about that, shall we?
There is something that has been on my heart that I did want to discuss. Discipline is a huge part of being productive, being lucrative. I'm not for anything that goes against true productivity, true sovereignty of the individual. The choices that we make are what's going to be up for judgment.
All right, you guys. So as I said in the open, we're going to talk about the fact that the Democrats want to go to El Salvador. They've been to El Salvador. At least we know of one senator who's been to El Salvador because they want to do a welfare check on the illegal that was deported, who was also an MS-13 gang member, now officially a terrorist. And it's mind-boggling to me, you guys, that I didn't think the Democrats could sink any lower than they already have. I mean, first of all, their priorities were a bit warped. I think that's why it was so easy to beat them in this last election. You wanted to focus on mutilation with transgenderism. You wanted to prioritize DEI nonsense. Like, this is why it was so easy to beat you. You were just not focused on reality. The American people wanted to see mass deportations. That's why they voted for Trump. They wanted to see more protections against, the evil and the corruption that takes place in our society. That's why they voted for President Trump. They keep trying to spin the story as if we're not happy with what we're seeing, which again, I think you guys, at first, I just believed that this was a diversionary tactic, right? That the only reason why they were so focused on this lie of a dad from Maryland being deported was because they knew they had nothing. They had nothing with the tariff story. They had nothing with the Doge story. They knew that the American people were actually happy with what was happening with Doge. They're very happy to see the Department of Education fall apart. They're very happy to see that we're going to have a more efficient government because of Doge. They're happy with the economic plan. They had no story. Okay. And so then they had to spew a bold-faced lie that a dad from Maryland had been deported, which you guys, I had a conversation with somebody who said, "Did you hear that Trump deported a man from Maryland?" As if I think this person was assuming that this was an American citizen and that this Trump administration is just incompetent and racist. Because obviously the guy looks like a Hispanic. He must be an illegal. Therefore, this is racially profiling. Again, giving off the assumption that this administration is incompetent and racist, right? That's not at all what happened. Like, this is why he's an illegal. That's a reason. That's it. I don't care if he was nonviolent. If you're an illegal, get the hell out. It is that simple. But now it goes beyond just protecting even the non-violent illegal. Now they want to defend terrorists. This is ridiculous. And at some point, I'm just waiting for Pam Bondi and Kash Patel to do what they said they were going to do and go after the leaders. I said, you guys, the second the man took the oath of office, I want the Democrats to do bad things because we know they're going to, number one, and that when they do bad things, this administration is going to hold people accountable. You got AOC trying to make it easier for them to dodge ICE, making it easier for them to just get away scot-free so they don't actually get deported. You got governors like Governor Phil Murphy of New Jersey saying that they're not going to work with this administration, that they are not going to work with ICE. You've got Governor Hochul of New York saying the exact same thing. Newsom. How many times? What are you doing, Pam Bondi? I'm like, I want people to be held accountable. Get these illegals out. And if these leaders, so-called governors and senators and Congress people, are not going to do their damn jobs, arrest them. You knew they were going to try to resist. They're resisting. Do something about it. I'm over this, yo.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
So, you guys, that takes us to the senator of Maryland. Now, we all saw the hearing that took place with the victims of illegals, the victims of illegal crime that took place in this country. And one of the victims turns out to be a constituent of this senator, or happened to be a constituent before she was brutally murdered and sexually assaulted. And this senator did not lift a finger. He did not advocate for a manhunt to find the man that was responsible for doing this. He didn't make a call to the victim's family. He didn't go to their home. But you're going to use taxpayer dollars, okay? You want to go and see this man in El Salvador to do a welfare check. You want to create conflict with this administration, conflict with the president of El Salvador, because you want to advocate for a damned terrorists. So before I go any further, you guys, let's go ahead and let's pull up the clip of Fox News first. I'm going to pull up that clip first, where we get a little bit more information as to what was leading up to this and all the rest of it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's run that clip first, shall we? Okay, guys, so this is the clip here. I'm just going to run it. Let's go ahead and let's do that.
Bottom line is, what do you do? Rachel Morin was a part of his district.
Yep.
From Maryland.
And I've spent the entire morning trying to find his public comments. I can only find the statement from yesterday when the person was convicted of murdering her. He didn't say anything. There were no protests. This is the type of stuff that really ticks off the American people. When our citizens die, when they're brutally raped, there's no outrage from the media or Democrats. But suddenly, this guy, by the way, the only thing, Ainsley, that's in dispute now is where he was deported.
Right. So
that's the only thing.
Right.
Caroline Levitt, we have so much to say on this. I want to play this soundbite, and then I want to play Rachel Morin's mom's soundbite, and then I want to get into the meat of this. Here's Caroline Levitt at the White House.
It's mind-boggling, the priorities of the modern-day Democrat Party. I think it's atrocious that you have Democrats in Congress on Capitol Hill who swear an oath to protect their constituents and to serve them in Washington, D.C., spending more time defending illegal immigrant gang members than their own constituents and law-abiding American citizens like Rachel Morin.
I'm very angry. I'm actually outraged, but I'm too sad at the moment to show anger at the same time. There was no action on the Democratic Party in any way, from Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Mayorkas, anyone here in Maryland. None of.
Right. I'm going to leave it there because I think it's kind of to the point. Senator of Maryland did not reach out to this mother, the survivor of the victim who had been brutally murdered and sexually assaulted by an illegal. And somehow you think that Americans are happy with this. You think that we're happy about this? Clearly, we're not. We're not. Why do you think the man won in the first place? Why do you think President Trump won? It wasn't just on the economy. It was also on our security. Okay? This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I have very little words. I'm going to come out of this because you guys, I feel for this woman so much, you guys. I'm going to come out of this clip. So Senator Van Hollen is a little too busy trying to defend illegals than he is to actually do what's best for his actual constituents. That's the whole point. This guy gets caught saying one of his constituents, and then we have to work to bring my constituent home. He's an illegal terrorist. What do you mean your constituent? In order for that to be the case, he'd actually have to be voting for you, which would mean that you're allowing illegals to vote in the state. And they certainly can't vote in federal elections, which you work for the federal government. So what's happening? What's happening? You're allowing these people to vote in the elections? What is going on? And there's all this confusion about whether or not we should be deporting illegals. And we don't know what to do, that this was some mistake. Oh, they sent a dad from Maryland, that they deported by accident, a dad from Maryland, that we don't know what we're doing. We don't know where our heads are, right? That's what you're getting at.
What was that? What was what? What was that? What was that? Where? What was that?
And again, you guys, I did not think that the Democrats could get any lower than they already have. But now you're defending terrorists. These are actual terrorists. And listen, from yesterday, they were talking about this a few days ago. They were talking about going to El Salvador, okay? Like you saw at the bottom of the Fox News clip I just showed you, that there were a few Democrats that were actually trying to go, at least 12 of them, one of them being a representative from Florida. Obviously, we know it's not a Republican, but this is the whole point, that the Democrats are making this an actual position for themselves, that they actually want to defend illegal terrorists. They want to defend illegals. They want illegals to vote in our elections. They want illegals to be in here, whether they are violent or not. They want them here. This is ridiculous. And you would think that after such a slaughtering, okay, in the election, that they would regroup, rethink their policies, rethink their priorities, and just maybe in the near future, they have a shot at actually, I don't know, maybe taking back the House. You're not winning midterms with movements like this. You're just not. Like, you were down and out after the election, but you might have had a shot, but this don't even look like you have a shot here.
We're dead! We're survived, but we're dead!
So you guys, I'm going to show you one more clip. I don't want this episode to be too long, but I'm going to show you one more clip of Senator Van Hollen in El Salvador, and I'll let him say what he has to say. Let's go ahead and let's run that next clip for you guys, shall we? Okay, guys, so this is the clip here. He did not have the opportunity to speak with the president of El Salvador because he was out of the country at the time, but he did have an opportunity to speak with the vice president of El Salvador. So let's go ahead and let's run it.
And I told the vice president that for over 2 decades, I have worked in my state of Maryland to crack down on MS-13.
Bold-faced lie.
And look forward to further efforts to make sure that we crack down on violent gangs.
That's all you needed to see. That's all you needed to see. They're going to work hard to crack down on violent criminals, to crack down on violent gangs, yet you are in El Salvador, dude, to save a terrorist, an MS-13 gang member. I mean, did you think that we wouldn't find out about this? Did you think we wouldn't find out that the media was lying, that this was a so-called just a regular dad giving us the assumption that this was an American citizen who had been deported by accident because this administration is so incompetent and so racist that they racially profiled a Hispanic? Yeah, no, we figured out the truth. Well, if you're conservative, we already knew what the truth was. This was obviously a bold-faced lie. We knew there was something suspicious. Then the whole story comes out, and we knew it. Turns out he is an illegal from El Salvador. So whether he was non-violent or violent, he was going back home to El Salvador. If you are an illegal, get out. We were going to deport you anyway. We are starting with violent criminals, and then we are going after the non-violent ones, okay? I don't care. If you're illegal, get the hell out. I don't care. Call me xenophobe all you want. You can call me whatever name in the book that you want. I value sovereignty. So does every other American citizen who voted for President Trump, which the majority of the country, as you saw from both the Electoral College and from the popular vote, that is what we wanted. Mass deportations. We don't care if they're violent. We don't care if they're non-violent. But let me tell you something. You did nothing about the woman that was killed by an illegal in your state. Absolutely nothing. But you sitting here in the camera in El Salvador for an illegal terrorist who is an MS-13 gang member, okay, saying to us that you're trying to crack down on MS-13 in America, that you were trying to protect your citizens in your state when your actual constituents were being harmed and murdered by gang members, by illegals. Who are you trying to convince? The people of El Salvador? Who voted for this guy? I'm going to come out of this, you guys. I'm going to come out of this. So you guys, you saw the clips. You saw it. This is ridiculous. Like I said, I'm mad. This is pissing me off. I thought this was just a diversion, okay? That they could not say anything about this administration. Okay, if anything, they can come after President Trump for his closeness with Israel, right? If anything, I could understand that one. But if we're talking about everything else, about the America First agenda, when we're talking about the getting rid of the Department of Education, however which way we can until it's passed through the Congress. If we're talking about defunding this big ass government, okay, you want to defund something, Democrats, let's talk about defunding the government in its entirety, bring out whatever you can, cut spending wherever you can. How about not taxing the American people? They had nothing. They had absolutely nothing. From the tariff argument, you had nothing. Okay, from Doge, cutting as much spending as possible, finding the fraud, waste, and abuse. You had nothing. You had nothing concrete to go on, that you had to lie to the people and say that Trump accidentally deported dad from Maryland. Like we wouldn't find out that he was an illegal, that he was an MS-13 terrorist. Like we wouldn't find out. The fact that people are cheering that this Senator Van Hollen went to El Salvador, that you got Democrats out here going to El Salvador because they care about this man trying to do a welfare check on a terrorist. Would you have done that for someone who worked with Al-Qaeda? Would you have done that for someone who worked for ISIS after the Boston bombing? Would you be so eager after 9/11? Would you have been so eager? So because what? The victim wasn't so many, even though there have been thousands of Americans who've been victimized, because it wasn't such a loud attack like a bombing or flying planes through the dang buildings, that somehow this isn't significant enough for the people who voted for President Trump? Yo, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. These people are just evil. That's the conclusion here. Again, I thought this was a diversion, but the more I see, it's not. They have nothing. They have nothing to stand on. They have no story. And this is the position that they're taking. This is the hill that they're going to die on top of mutilating babies, prioritizing DEI. Okay? They also want to prioritize not just non-violent illegals so they can vote in the elections and have slaves, according to Jasmine Crockett. But they also want to protect terrorists. And if conservatives said that this is what they wanted to do, there'd be outrage, and rightfully so. I'm just convinced Democrats in power are just pure evil. They're just evil. There's just no way. Senator Van Hollen is not a good man. He's not a good person. Who put him in office? Probably the illegals that he's so eager to protect. If this is the position that they want to take, it's not going to get you the midterms. I'll tell you that. You're certainly not going to win midterms with this. The majority of the American people voted for Trump because why? They want to get rid of illegals. We don't like them. We don't want them here. You take up our space. You take up our jobs. Okay? You cost a lot of money. You're harming our people, from jobs to lives, livelihoods, all of it. Get out. Get out. And if you Democrats want to sit here and defend this criminal, these terrorists, well, then That's your bed. Lie in it. And Pam Bondi, I got a note for you. Just arrest these leaders. That's the whole point. That woman lost her daughter to a violent illegal in his state that he had the nerve to say in El Salvador that he's working to keep out of his state. Like, you don't have a constituent who's just was at Capitol Hill saying why this wasn't supposed to happen in the first place, because you did nothing. You didn't call her. You didn't go to her house. You did absolutely nothing. You people are just straight evil. Like I said, you guys, you get in the comments. Let me know what you think about this, because this is outrageous. Democrats are supporting terrorists now, and I don't see how they win in midterms. They lost dramatically before, and I think that's just going to be the trend here. If that's what they want to do, then that's what they're going to do. I'm just thought it was a diversion. Clearly it wasn't. Love you guys. I will talk to you a little later. Again, get in the comment sections. Let me know what you think. And again, share, like this video, get involved in the conversation. I do have some things coming out this week for you guys. It's very exciting time. And, my prayers are going to be with the mother, the victim's family, because, there used to be a time when we could just disagree with the Democrats, but they were not like this. This is just evil. So, anyhow, love you guys. I will talk to you later. Talk to you tomorrow, actually. And you guys have a good night. Love you and Kepla. God bless.